Hey everyone, this is Bill Mork again from Quorum. Thanks for waiting as we let its people finish signing in. I'm going to go ahead and go through the presentation now. Again, kind of the point of the call is to discuss the chip shortage or hardware shortage that we're probably all aware of and struggling with, and then talk about maybe who's at risk, and as IT pros, what steps can we take to protect ourselves or try to get ahead of the situation. All right, Gabe, if you want to go to the next slide for me. And again, my name's Bill Mork. I help lead our sales and marketing business development efforts at Quorum. And then my partner in crime today is Gabriel. Really fortunate to work with him. He's our VP of technology, which helps guide our product development, our service, pre-sales, and post-sales support to really get to touch all parts of our business. And he'll be talking about the potential solutions and steps that you guys can think about taking to protect yourself. Thanks, Gabe. So I'm sure the chip shortage is not news to anyone probably on this call. So just sharing a couple of the headlines that we may have read affecting the hardware issues. Most recently, Gabe had shared this article with me from Intel, where the CEO announced, go ahead and be prepared for the chip shortage to last into 2024. That was kind of news to me. The initial report I heard right after was about April 2020 was to go ahead and get your seatbelt secured until 2022, which obviously we're full in swing in. So things are probably going to get a little bit worse before they get better, unfortunately. And talking to some of our clients, they've struggled to get hardware and switches, laptops, you name it, as things come up, which I'm sure you guys have as well. And then to some other, incidents. Obviously, the Shanghai and a lot of China has been shut down up until very recently. A lot of the big manufacturers are located there, so that's going to continue to disrupt things. And then as the crisis in Ukraine continues, precious minerals used and materials farmed in both Ukraine and Russia are going to be limited. So impacts will continue to proceed, and predictions are that they'll probably increase as well as far as lead time. So who's kind of at risk for this? If we look at a business's organization, particularly related to the infrastructure data center, first kind of to my mind is IT teams that are managing older infrastructure. I know a lot of business leaders kind of squeeze our IT teams to get the most bang out of the buck out of the hardware. So a lot of times we're on hardware that's on its last leg, which obviously as time and increases, so does the likelihood of risk that something might happen in the machine that's unforecasted, and that we'll have to make a change or cover for it or have a stopgap as we get new protection in place. Also, we still have some teams that don't have an adequate local recovery appliance or solution. This means maybe they're on a software only platform that might rely on existing or production hardware in a recovery situation. So if there's issues to that original equipment, we're kind of sitting and waiting until we have a place to restore that data to. Other people have kind of partnered up with certain providers that underscope a local appliance, so that in the event of a disaster, they're kind of crawling or limping along, or maybe having to select that specific application that they can deal without. Then of course, people also at risk are those that may be replicating just data off-site or not replicating any information at all. The reason this kind of ties into this infrastructure or chip shortage is because those people are kind of probably thinking, hey, if a disaster really happens and maybe something happened to our entire data center, what I do is contact my favorite manufacturer and get some new equipment in place, and then have the data shipped to me and go ahead and load the data on from there. While that was never really a real speedy solution, now that could mean that the amount of downtime is associated with how long it takes you to get that new equipment, which has been about 2 months as of recently. Talking to some clients, it's taken them 6 months to get hardware equipment from some of the large manufacturers. So what can we kind of do to get ahead of this? Go to the next slide. The first thing we can do is just kind of be aware that unforeseen events like water in the server room, fire, natural disaster, older equipment, external causes outside of our control. We've all heard like crazy stories that we never thought were possible to happen to data centers and cause an outage, or just normal wear and tear, that could lead to a prolonged outage. And if you want to go ahead and click through the next two. So again, just tying that together, if any one of those events happen, right now we're looking at a 2 to 6 month lead time on replacement hardware. And my big concern on that one is just, I don't know a lot of organizations or businesses that can withstand that amount of downtime. Usually when we're talking to our clients, it's a matter of minutes that we're trying to get people recovered in. But when we talk about a doomsday disaster, they say you could probably make it for hours or maybe days at the maximum. So having this sort of scenario where we're all struggling to get new hardware makes it even more important to have a high availability solution, both local and in the cloud, and not just kind of a placeholder either, but a fully fledged one that has enough horsepower to sustain a portion of our environment, or perhaps our entire data center if one of these events at the top here happen to knock out all of our servers. And being able to reside on a disaster recovery service like that for an undefined period of time is even more valuable than it ever has been until we get on the other side of all of these struggles. So Gabe, if you want to kind of go ahead and take it away and maybe talk to more of a technical perspective on some of the points I touched on, that'd be great.
Thanks, Bill. Couple of things I want to point out. I talk to a lot of our resellers really often, and in fact, I was talking to one today, and he came to me and he said, I was looking for a switch for various things, and he said, well, you're not going to get Cisco. I said, why? What's going on at Cisco? He's like, well, I just did a large order for some Cisco servers for a customer, and the lead time is 380 days. I was blown away. One of the things that Bill didn't touch on, but I want to point out to you is most everyone today has a 4-hour response or a next business day warranty for their hardware. I encourage you all to start looking at the fine print, because what that recovers is parts replacement and items like that. But if you lost a whole data center, a whole rack, it's going to be a best effort from those vendors to get parts to you as they have them. Under a normal world, that's not a big deal for them. They can cross ship stuff and overnight stuff, and you get stuff pretty quickly. But with the way things are right now, even those are looking at lead times in the weeks and months. So what you need to have is a solution that can run your environment if you have a failure. So a lot of backup solutions that have recovery capabilities recover back to production, but not necessarily can run the workload themselves. So you want something that can run the workload and bring your servers up from that workload to give you that availability that you're going to need to cover you until that hardware arrives. So in this slide here, we have a local appliance that's on site, giving that workload availability. At the Quorum solution, we size all of our appliances to be able to run everything in your environment. We have a variety of sizes of hardware to fit those needs. And so what you want to do is have something already in place so that if your stuff dies, you can recover to this and keep going. The other option you have is to back your stuff up directly to the cloud, but make sure that that cloud solution has full recovery capabilities, not just data storage, so that you can recover back and keep working from the cloud until your server or your new hardware arrives. A better solution would be to have both high availability needs met with a local appliance, but also replicating offsite to give you full disaster recovery. So if your outage actually took out the appliance as well, like water in the data center, and we use that example a lot, but it's because it happens more than you'd think. Someone hits the sprinkler head moving a box around or a ladder, and they bust that thing open, and all of a sudden water spraying all over their servers. We've had multiple customers go down with that kind of scenario, and so it's one of our, common things that we say here at Quorum. But you want to have something that you can recover to if the whole data center or rack or whatever is down. So you want to have a remote solution to recover those workloads as well. So you have both an appliance replicated model or a disaster recovery in the cloud model, where you have the local appliance for high availability, but replicating offsite for disaster recovery. So those are the kind of solutions you want to have in place to make sure that you can handle really whatever the world kind of throws at you next. And even though buying these solutions and getting them in place is going to take time, right? Every appliance vendor is going to have a lead time. It's better to plan for that now and get those purchased and ordered and get them in place, so that if you have something happen, the ball is already rolling in your favor. A little bit about Quorum itself. What we just kind of presented is what we do. And what we've done for a long time. We back up your servers, we deduplicate, we replicate it offsite, whether to another appliance or the cloud. And with every server we back up, whether it's physical, virtual on VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix, whatever, we make an instantly bootable version from the appliance that can be brought up with the same IPs, the same applications, the same data set from the last snapshot, and recover that workload and get you up and running in the time it takes to boot. Because we've built all these machines and we have it all built into the appliance itself, the appliance has its own test network, so you can actually do a full DR test without affecting production. You can use it as a sandbox to test patch upgrades, new software installs, updates, anything like that. Obviously, we can be used as a migration tool, and we'll have your data for a long time, so we can be used as an archiving vessel. All of these things coupled together give you that peace of mind that if you have a disaster, you're going to be able to recover. And what you need to plan for now is not just your upgrades of your hardware, but what you're going to do if that hardware goes down before you can upgrade. So I'm going to hand it back to Bill for this last slide. Thanks, everybody. We'll have questions here at the end.
Thanks, Gabe. That was great. Yeah, like Gabe said, if you have any questions, go ahead. There's in the chat, you can go ahead and message those over. We'll take them as they come. But just to kind of wrap full circle, as Gabe mentioned, or as I mentioned, I should say, we're all aware of this issue and battling with it. Unfortunately, no one here on Quorum or anyone else on the call has a magic wand and a way to resolve these issues. So what Gabe was saying, the best thing that we can do is to get ahead of this and protect ourselves from the event something would happen in the future. Just wanted to read one quote from one of our clients here, because it talks about the confidence and the value of being able to have a reliable disaster recovery service. This client's in the oil and gas industry, and they said over the past 2 years, we've had 3 ransomware attacks, mostly caused by employees opening documents with infected attachments that look legitimate. We were able to isolate and recover the infected servers in a matter of minutes, and I can honestly say without Quorum, we'd honestly not be in business today. So ransomware is just another one of those disasters that we're all trying to be protected from. And in addition to having a really secured solution, it's nice to be able to fail over, whether that be locally or in the cloud for an undefined period of time until we're able to make the changes needed to our production equipment to get back online. I don't see any questions coming through right now. So if you think of any after this, we'll send you a thank you email for attending. Feel free to respond there with any questions, or if you have any thoughts, or if you have ideas on other topics that you're wondering, hey, this is kind of something I'm struggling with, love to hear what Quorum has to say about it. We're always looking for key and current events that you guys are interested in seeing in the webinar series. Also with that, if you're interested in learning more about Quorum's disaster recovery solution or the local recovery and how Quorum can support our clients in the event of a disaster, you can respond to those follow-up emails as well. Big thanks again from everybody on the Quorum team. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.